What if I told you that right now, beneath miles of silent sand, an entire city is still standing? Not in ruin, not shattered by war, but buried, intact, preserved. And the most chilling part? They saw it coming. Hi, welcome back to AB DeepFrame. In today's episode, we uncover the story of a civilization so advanced it believed it had mastered nature itself until nature responded. This isn't ancient history. This isn't mythology. This is the story of how progress, prediction, and power still weren't enough. Because this is the desert that swallowed an entire civilization. Stay with me. Before the sand, long before the dunes rose, this place was known simply as the buried city. It wasn't ancient. It wasn't primitive. It was the peak of human innovation. Skyscrapers shimmered with integrated solar skins, pulling energy directly from the sun. Vertical farms climbed glass towers, producing food year-round without soil. Condensation spires extracted water straight from the air. Artificial intelligence regulated traffic, medical systems, energy flow, and even public policy simulations. Nothing was random. Energy demand was predicted before citizens even turned on their light. Food production adjusted automatically based on consumption patterns. Supply chains stretched across continents in synchronized precision. Hunger had nearly vanished. Waste had been minimized. Labor had been optimized. From orbit, the city looked like a glowing circuit board, alive, intelligent, efficient. They believed they had solved the future, but outside the glass and steel, the planet was changing. Here's the warnings. For decades, global temperatures had been climbing. Glaciers receded year after year. Sea levels crept higher. Rainfall patterns shifted unpredictably. Once fertile regions began drying into cracked earth, satellite systems began detecting something alarming. Desertification belts were expanding faster than predictive models had projected. The Sahara pushed south. The Arabian desert stretched outward. Heat waves intensified across the American Southwest, but the city had a response. Technology. Massive geoengineering programs were launched. Aerosols were dispersed into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight. Ocean chemistry was modified to enhance carbon absorption. Artificial rain systems were deployed over drying farmland. For a while, the data looked promising. Temperature curves stabilized. Crop yields rebounded slightly. Public confidence returned. But here's what they underestimated. The planet is not a machine. It doesn't reset with software patches. It operates on feedback loops, and once certain thresholds are crossed, those loops accelerate beyond control. The city had built predictive systems, but it had not built patience. The first collapse. The turning point came quietly. Monsoon cycles failed. Entire agricultural zones that once fed millions dried within a few seasons. Rivers thinned into streams. Reservoirs cracked open under relentless heat. Food exports stopped. Borders tightened. Water became more valuable than oil. Then came the storms. Rising global temperatures increased atmospheric instability. Sandstorms grew larger, more violent, traveling thousands of kilometers. The buried city detected fine desert particulates infiltrating its filtration systems. At first, it was manageable. Airlocks were reinforced, rooftop barriers installed, transit systems sealed, emergency sand diversion corridors built around the city perimeter. From above, it still looked untouchable, but beneath the surface, something far more dangerous was happening. Aquifers, ancient underground water reserves, were being drained at unsustainable rates. Decades of industrial extraction had hollowed the ground beneath the city. When vegetation died from drought, the soil lost its anchor. Without roots to hold it together, the earth turned to powder. The desert was no longer approaching. It was rising. From below, the great encroachment. The first district to disappear was industrial. A storm hit that lasted 9 days. Winds shattered records. Entire warehouse complexes vanished beneath dunes. Rail lines were buried. Excavation teams worked tirelessly. But within weeks, another storm followed, then another. Insurance markets collapsed under catastrophic losses. Logistics systems failed. Imports slowed. Evacuations began quietly. Officials assured citizens the core was secure. Defensive walls would be raised. Subsurface stabilization grids installed. But desertification does not negotiate. Within 5 years, neighborhoods were abandoned. Sand pressed against windows. Streets disappeared. Ground-level businesses shut down. So the city adapted. Upward, residents sealed lower floors and moved into reinforced upper levels. Bridges connected skyscrapers high above the dunes. From satellite imagery, it still looked alive. From the ground, it was vanishing. The vertical era. Civilization condensed into towers. Hydroponic farms moved entirely indoors. Water recycling systems approached perfection. Autonomous drones replaced vehicles, delivering supplies between rooftops. At night, The skyline still glowed, but below, the sand climbed. Subway tunnels filled first. Underground power conduits failed. Maintenance crews could no longer operate safely at street level. Basements became tombs. Ground floors became pressure chambers. Globally, billions were being displaced by rising seas and spreading drought. Migration intensified. The buried city became a fortress. And fortresses consume resources. Solar panels required constant cleaning. Sand abrasion shredded turbines. Air filtration systems ran non-stop, draining energy reserves. Respiratory illnesses increased. Food yields declined as atmospheric instability interfered with controlled agriculture. The final storm. Meteorologists detected the anomaly weeks before impact. A hyperthermal pressure collapse formed over the desert interior. The temperature difference between overheated land and cooler ocean air created a megastorm beyond anything recorded. Evacuation orders were issued for lower sectors. Then the sky went dark. For 16 days, sunlight vanished behind airborne sand. The sound was deafening, like standing beneath a collapsing ocean. Windows imploded. External frameworks were stripped to skeletal frames. Solar fields outside the city disappeared entirely. Communication towers failed. Emergency power activated, then failed. When the storm finally passed, 70% of vertical infrastructure had lost external access. Sand had climbed dozens of stories high. Entire towers were fused together by artificial plateaus of compacted dunes. From a distance, the skyline no longer resembled building. It looked like flat land. The city had not burned. It had suffocated. Centuries later, time moved on. The climate stabilized, but harsher, hotter, drier, unforgiving. Today, only the rooftops of the tallest skyscrapers break through the sand sea. From afar, it looks peaceful. Up close, it is a fossilized skyline. And yet, life remains. In canyon-like gaps between exposed structures, small communities survive. Modified vehicles glide slowly across hardened dunes. Upper floors serve as settlement. Lower levels, insulated by sand, remain cooler, offering protection from extreme heat. Below the surface, the old city is preserved in darkness. Exploration teams descend through fractured elevator shafts searching for sealed data vaults. Inside those chambers are climate models, energy schematic, engineering blueprints, archived warning. The buried city is not just a ruin. It is an archive. It is a warning. And it is unstable. Because the desert never truly rests. What really ended it? Was it the storm? Was it the drought? Was it the sand? No, it was convergence. Climate feedback loops accelerated beyond predictive models. Groundwater extraction destabilized foundations. Infrastructure required constant maintenance that became impossible. Global supply chains collapsed. Political divisions delayed unified action. The civilization believed it could out-engineer nature. For decades, it did. But innovation without restraint accelerated consumption. Growth outpaced recovery. Efficiency masked fragility. The desert was not the enemy. It was the consequence. The city didn't fall in a single catastrophic moment. It eroded, grain by grain, storm by storm, decision by decision. The traveler's beginning. Today, travelers cross the dunes guided by fragmented satellite signals. They don't come seeking conquest. They come seeking knowledge. Beneath layers of sand lie crystal-encoded libraries. Hardened data cores remain sealed in vacuum chambers. Architectural blueprints reveal vertical survival strategy. Climate simulations show the exact moment predictions failed. The civilization that fell was not ignorant. It understood carbon level. It measured aquifer depletion. It modeled storm trajectory. What it lacked was unified will and time. As the sun sets behind dunes that were once highways, the exposed rooftops cast long shadows across the desert. From a distance, it looks calm. But if you stand there, if you close your eyes, you might imagine the hum of turbines, the rush of transit lines, the voices of millions who once believed they had solved tomorrow. The desert swallowed an entire civilization, but beneath the sand, knowledge remains. And maybe that knowledge is waiting for us to decide differently. If this story made you think, if it made you question the balance between progress and sustainability, make sure you subscribe to AB DeepFrame, because the past doesn't just tell stories. It leaves instructions and sometimes warnings. I'll see you in the next one.